Today's message came to me in a vision, one that I'd like to share with you. But first, let me introduce myself. If you're new here, my name is Maya, also known as the Untamed Oracle. I channel messages that speak to the heart, the soul, and the spaces in between. Those quiet places where God is still teaching you how to trust again. Now, before I get started, I always want to give a few reminders. First, my messages are timeless. That means even though this one came through on this specific day, if it finds you at another time, that's when it's meant for you. God's timing doesn't follow our clocks. When this message lands, it's right on time for you. Second, you'll hear me refer to God often because that's the language I grew up with. It's how I connect to the all-knowing, all-powerful source that created us all. But if you use a different name, Spirit, the divine, the universe, know that I honor that too. We're speaking about the same loving force, just through different words. And lastly, when I mention masculine or feminine energy in these readings, I'm talking about energy, not gender. These messages can show up in different ways, through people, opportunities, or even emotions. So take what resonates and leave the rest. Now, let's take a breath together. Let this moment ground you, because what I'm about to share carries deep emotional truth. It's not just a story, it's a reflection of where many of you are right now, standing on the other side of the storm, trying to figure out who you've become, and if it's finally safe to love again. So let's get into it. All right, so in this vision, I saw you with a group of people floating in the middle of an endless body of water. It looked like the ocean. It was open, endless, vast, but you were calm. Nobody was drowning. Nobody was panicking. You were just suspended there together in this strange, peaceful stillness. And what this showed me is that you've reached a point in your life where your emotional baseline has changed. You don't operate from panic anymore. You're not trying to control everything. You've surrendered. You're not asking for rescue either. You know you're safe, even when it does not make sense to be. So you're floating there, and then I see these ships pass by. They look like military ships. The group starts cheering, clapping, celebrating them for what they're doing. And what I noticed is that no one was asking them to save you. The entire group was perfectly fine, didn't even feel like they needed saving. Just stuck out here in the middle of the ocean and perfect peace. That part was really powerful because those ships represent the external masculine forces of power, systems, protection, structure, authority. And it was showing that you can now honor those energies without depending on them. You realize that you don't need saving from those systems, but you do honor the purpose and the reason why they're there. And so that's divine maturity. It's respecting power without needing to be rescued by it. Right after these ships pass, that's when everything shifts. The wind changes, the water darkens, and suddenly the calm becomes chaos. A storm rises up, and this isn't just any storm. It's clearly divine initiation. It's the kind of storm that doesn't destroy you, but it definitely transforms you. And in this moment, that's when I noticed something interesting. Everyone in your group has a tether, something surrounding them, and it keeps them connected and safe. Everyone except one woman. And when that storm hits and the wind really starts whipping around, she's the one that it starts pulling away. You're yelling for her, trying to help her, trying to hold on to her, but the waves keep getting higher and stronger. And you're doing what you always do. You're trying to save. But this time the message was very clear. You can't save anyone who isn't tethered. Not anymore. The storm made it clear that only what's anchored in God and truth and love can survive what's coming next. And that woman who wasn't tethered, when the biggest wave hit, she disappeared. And you knew that she was gone. The thought that ran through your mind was, she's not going to survive that wave. And you didn't see her again. That loss wasn't punishment. It was permission. It was God showing you that you can't carry people who won't ground themselves. You can't drag anyone to shore who doesn't want to swim. The next thing I see is you made it to land, you and a few others. The storm is gone. The air is still heavy, but it's peaceful. There's that silence that comes after chaos when everything that could be shaken has been. And you're on solid ground now. But not everyone made it. And there's this one woman who realizes her partner didn't survive. You can feel her heartbreak when you look at her. She loves him deeply, but she's holding it together. She's grieving, but she's not collapsing. And that's where I see your growth too. Because you still feel deeply, but you no longer fall apart when things end. You're learning to hold both the love and the loss without losing yourself. And it's there that I also see someone familiar. It's an energy from your past. And at the start of this energy, it's a masculine energy in this vision, was there and did something pretty immature and left. This was before you were floating in the ocean with the group of people. This person left. And you were happy to see them go. And so now they show up again, softer this time, claiming they've changed. But this was someone whose presence used to shake your peace. So you're watching, but you're not believing. At this point, you can tell the difference between peace and performance. So you don't cut them off. You've simply outgrown the need to reattach. You're not absorbing them anymore. You're observing them. And that's how you know that you're different. You came out of the storm with a different level of discernment and a different level of patience. You came out of it with the expectation that people no longer have the ability to tell you who they are. They have to show you. So then the scene shifts. You're in a room now with the other survivors, the ones who made it. But I drift into the role of the observer, and I can see a man walking towards the building that you're in. It's the man who everyone thought was gone, the woman's lover. He's alive, and so that's a wonderful thing. He walks in, the whole room lights up. The woman who thought she lost him turns and she's completely shocked. Then he reaches her and he drops to one knee. And you're excited on one hand for her, but on the other hand, you're reading her energy. He's proposing. The room freezes. You can see that she loves him, but she's terrified because she's looking everywhere but at him at this moment. And instead of saying yes, she turns her head away. But what you noticed was his response. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't take it personally. He doesn't shame her or try to convince her. He just stays there, steady, patient, compassionate. His love isn't loud, it's grounded. He sees her fear and he meets it with understanding. And you're watching him, thinking to yourself that that's divine masculine energy right there. That's what safety looks like. And that's what you want for yourself, a love that holds, not a love that demands. And as you're standing there watching it, both in the scene and above it, it clicks. You're not just witnessing her story, you're watching your own healing. You're seeing the difference between love that takes and love that tends, between needing saving and being steady, between what was built on fear and what's rooted in faith. Because next to you is the person from your past, and he's watching also. But he's watching the woman, and he's confused as to why she's seemingly rejecting the masculine in front of her. He doesn't quite understand. Why wouldn't she just accept him immediately? And you're looking from the vantage point of understanding what it feels like to be in a moment where you've had to fend for yourself, you've had to protect yourself, and there's some hesitancy on being willing to trust again. But then you also see his patience as she's turned away, afraid to say yes, afraid to meet his eyes, and he rises to his feet, speaking to her compassionately. He's patient with her, loving her through that fear. And you recognize that that's exactly where you are and what you need. Because that's what divine love does. It doesn't rush you. It waits for you to be ready. It stays when the old you would have run. It loves you back into safety. Now let me go deeper into what this means for you. Because this vision isn't just about surviving a storm. It's about what happens after. It's about what happens when the waves settle and you're standing there on the shore realizing you still want love, but you don't quite know how to trust it yet. See, I feel like a lot of you are in that space right now. You want love, you prayed for it, you speak affirmations over it, you daydream about it. But when it actually starts to appear, something in you freezes. And it's not because you don't want it, it's because you don't feel safe yet. And I need you to hear me when I say this. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. You've seen what counterfeit love feels like. You've experienced what it's like to be tethered to someone who couldn't handle the weight of your soul. You've been through storms where you were the only one swimming, the only one trying to save something that was already sinking. So now, even when the real thing shows up, your body remembers the old pain. It remembers what it was like to be disappointed, abandoned, or made to feel like you were too much. That's trauma memory. It's not intuition. And with this vision, God is showing you that you don't have to punish yourself for it. Because this new person, this divine counterpart, the one you've been praying for, they see that. They know you've been through things they weren't there to protect you from. And they don't hold it against you. They're not here to make you perform being healed. They're here to hold space while you become. This person understands that healing doesn't look like perfection. It looks like pacing. It looks like you taking a deep breath before you let them all the way in. It looks like you testing the water before you dive. And they're okay with that. They're patient. They're built for this. And I know you're scared that maybe you'll mess it up, that maybe they'll get tired and leave, but I'm telling you, this one isn't built like the rest. This one isn't here to force your timing. They're here to match your rhythm. They're not intimidated by your softness or your silence or your hesitations. This is someone who doesn't need to prove they love you. They just show it consistently, calmly, quietly. This is what divine masculine energy looks like. Not rushing, not pushing, just being. And for some of you, that's the hardest part to trust because you're used to chaos feeling like chemistry. You're used to the highs and lows being mistaken for love. But peace, real peace, is foreign. And yet, that's exactly what God is sending you. So here's the message. You don't have to rush your healing. You don't have to hide your fear. You don't have to act like you're ready if you're not. Just keep your heart open. Keep letting God do the work inside of you. And when that love comes, the one that doesn't run when it rains, Don't sabotage it by expecting it to hurt like the last one. This love will wait for you. This love will stay. Because this love was sent by God, and what's sent by God doesn't compete with your fear. It calms it. And I want to say this before we close. When I saw that man in the dream, the one kneeling, steady, patient, it wasn't just about romance. It was about divine reflection. Because what's being mirrored back to you right now is the same kind of love you've been praying to give and receive. The kind that doesn't demand perfection, that doesn't run at the first sight of fear. It just stays. So if you've been wondering why God has been quiet or why your heart feels tender even after all this healing, it's because you're not just preparing for partnership. You're preparing for peace, real peace, not comfort while you're in the middle of the ocean. You're learning that divine love doesn't come to save you from the storm. It shows up after the storm to remind you that you're safe now. You survived. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to trust again. And you're allowed to be loved gently this time. So take your time, let love meet you where you are, because the person meant for you, they already understand. They know a lot happened before they arrived. They know they weren't there to protect you before, but they're here now, and they're not leaving. There's no rush, no reason to worry. God's hand is on this connection, and what's meant to last will not be lost. So that's today's message, and if this word resonated with you, go ahead and like this video. It helps connect your energy to the message so that the next one will find you right on time. Leave a comment below to claim this energy, or just drop a heart to let me know you received it. And make sure you subscribe to the Untamed Oracles so you don't miss the next divine download that's meant for you. Until next time, walk gently, speak truthfully, and always live untamed.